Good evening, traveler of quiet thoughts. Wherever you are, whether it's late at night with the hum of your lamp nearby or early in the morning before the world has fully woken, I'm glad you found your way here. Tell me, what time is it for you right now, and from where are you listening? Tonight, let us drift into a story that sounds almost like a secret farewell whispered in the dark. You see, the moon, our constant companion, the silver lantern of our nights, is not as loyal as it appears. Slowly, gently, almost imperceptibly, it is drifting away from Earth. Not with drama, not with speed, but with the patience of eternity. Imagine the sky as a vast ocean, and the moon as a small boat, tethered to Earth by invisible currents. Every year, the rope loosens just a little. A few centimeters of distance, hardly enough for us to notice. And yet, over millions of years, the distance grows, like an old friend taking small steps backward across the horizon. Tonight, as you rest, we will follow this slow dance of separation. We'll ask why the moon drifts, how tides are the secret messengers of this motion, and what Earth's nights may look like in distant futures. Don't worry, this is not a tale of loss, but of quiet wonder. The moon will always shine upon us, only from a slightly farther seat in the grand theatre of the cosmos. So, let your eyes soften, let your breathing slow, and together, let us begin this journey of distance, patience, and cosmic goodbyes that never quite end. Close your eyes for a moment and picture the Earth, turning slowly, wrapped in a cloak of clouds and water. From far away, our planet looks like a shimmering marble, blue and white, suspended in the darkness. Yet what gives this marble its constant rhythm, its breathing in and out, is not just its spin. It is the moon, softly pulling at the oceans, as if holding Earth by invisible threads of silver. The tides are the first whisper of this story. Every day, twice a day, the seas rise and fall. To us it feels ordinary. The lapping shoreline, the retreating waves leaving trails of foam, the return of water to cover the sand. But beneath this gentle cycle lies one of the most intimate dances in the universe, the gravitational pull between Earth and its moon. Imagine the oceans as vast sheets of silk draped over the Earth. The moon's gravity tugs at that fabric, lifting a subtle swell of water that follows it as it circles the globe. Wherever the moon is, the sea rises toward it, and on the far side of Earth, another swell forms, a reflection of the first. Two bulges of water chasing the moon endlessly, while the Earth spins beneath them. It is not a violent tug, not a harsh command. The moon does not tear at the oceans. Instead, its influence is quiet but steady, like a hand guiding a dancer's steps. The tides respond, rising and falling, as if in a slow breath. For billions of years this has continued, and it will continue for billions more. The connection is more than physical, it is poetic. The moon, silent and distant, keeps time for the oceans. Sailors once relied on this knowledge, predicting tides to guide their journeys. Coastal people built their lives around it, planting and fishing in harmony with the moon's rhythm. And even today, whether we notice or not, the entire planet beats in time with this lunar song. But gravity is never free. It asks for an exchange. While the moon pulls at the oceans, the Earth resists. The spinning of the planet drags those tidal bulges slightly ahead of the moon's direct line. This tiny misalignment means that the oceans are not just pulled, they also push. They tug back at the moon, just a little, like a dance partner who leans in too far. And so, the story deepens. Earth's oceans hold the moon not only by responding to its pull, but also by returning a subtle force of their own. These tidal bulges, always leaning just slightly forward, act as if they are pulling the moon ahead in its orbit. Every day, every night, the seas are giving the moon a nudge. Small, almost invisible, but relentless. To picture it, think of two children spinning each other by the hands in a grassy field. One child is heavier, spinning slower, while the other is lighter, pulled outward by the centrifugal force. The heavier child gives up some energy to keep the lighter one moving. Over time, the heavier child slows down, while the lighter child drifts a little farther away. That is Earth and the moon. The Earth spins, the oceans lean forward, and the moon, patient and silent, drifts outward. But here, we pause only at the tether, the tides themselves. The moon's hand upon the oceans is delicate, yet the results are immense. Without the moon, Earth's tides would be weak, controlled only by the distant Sunday life in the shallows. The tidal pools, the wetlands, the estuaries might never have flourished in the same way. The daily washing in and out of the seas has long been a cradle for new beginnings, a rhythm that life itself grew accustomed to. The moon, then, is not just a light in the sky. It is a quiet gardener of Earth, reshaping coastlines, feeding ecosystems, keeping the oceans alive with movement. Each tide that laps the shore is a reminder of the bond, and in that bond, there lies the secret of the moon's slow farewell. If you listen closely, you can almost hear it. The hush of waves against the sand, pulled just slightly higher when the moon is near. The retreat as the tide slips away, only to return again. The ocean breathing with the sky, while far above, the moon keeps its watch. For ancient peoples, this was magic. They saw the moon rise and knew the waters would follow. Myths grew around this truth. Stories of goddesses pulling the seas, of silver deities commanding the waves. It was not foolishness, but recognition of a bond deeper than reason. For even now, in the age of satellites and laser beams, the mystery still hums. The moon holds the oceans, and in return, the oceans hold the moon. So, as you lie here listening, imagine that tether stretched across the sky, not a rope of fiber, but a current of gravity, invisible and eternal. A thread that ties us not just to our companion in orbit, but to the rhythm of the cosmos itself. Each tide is a reminder that we are connected, that the sky and sea are never apart. And with that connection, the story of drifting begins. For the oceans do not simply obey, they answer back. They lean, they pull, they offer their own subtle push. And though you cannot feel it, though you will not see it in your lifetime, the moon feels it. Slowly, step by step, it takes those nudges and begins to walk away. But that is a tale for the next part of our journey. For now, let the tides rock you gently. Let the thought of the moon's invisible hand comfort you, like a lullaby played upon the waters of the earth. And let yourself drift, as the oceans drift, always in rhythm, always in time. If the tides are the tether, then energy is the message carried along that line. The oceans rise and fall, not in silence, but in a subtle transaction, a quiet exchange between Earth and the moon. It is a trade so delicate that you will not feel it, yet so powerful that it reshapes the very relationship between our world and its companion in the sky. To understand it, let us begin with Earth itself. Imagine our planet as a dancer twirling on its stage. Every 24 hours, it completes one spin, turning toward the light of the sun and then away again. This spin is energy, rotational energy, stored in the bulk of Earth, a memory of its fiery birth billions of years ago. For ages, Earth has spun with vigor, faster in the past, slower today, still carrying that ancient momentum. But the tides interrupt the dancer's grace. When the oceans bulge toward the moon, they do not sit neatly beneath it. Earth's spin drags those bulges slightly ahead. The planet rotates faster than the moon moves across the sky, and so the oceans, pulled by the land beneath them, lean forward. A small defiance, a tiny lag. This misalignment matters. Gravity, remember, is mutual. The moon pulls on the oceans, and the oceans pull on the moon. But because those tidal bulges are offset, the tug is not straight down toward Earth's center. Instead, the bulges pull slightly ahead of the moon, giving it a forward nudge in its orbit. It is as though Earth, by spinning, is lending the moon a little push, urging it to go faster, to climb outward into the dark. Yet no gift is free. When Earth hands energy to the moon, it must lose some of its own. The forward drag of the tides creates a braking effect. Earth's spin slows, ever so slightly. Each day grows a little longer, not enough for us to notice, but measurable across deep time. Hundreds of millions of years ago, a day lasted only 18 hours. Now it stretches close to 24. And in the far future, it will stretch even longer. The beauty of this trade is in its patience. Imagine a potter's wheel, spinning strongly at first, then slowing as friction steals its motion. Or imagine a pendulum, Each swing just a little shorter, its energy given away to the air. Earth is that potter's wheel, that pendulum, giving a fragment of its spin to the moon with each passing tide. The moon takes those fragments, gathers them, and transforms them into distance. Slowly, it climbs higher into orbit, slipping farther from Earth. If you could speed up time, compress millions of years into a minute, you would see the moon's path stretching outward like the rings of a tree, each circle just a little wider than the one before. The moon does not leap away, does not break its bond. It simply accepts these tiny gifts of energy, step by step, orbit by orbit. This trade is subtle. The moon drifts outward by about 3.8 centimeters each year, less than the width of your thumb, less than the growth of your hair in a single month. But over billions of years, such patience adds up. Long ago, the moon was much closer, looming larger in the sky, its pull stronger, its tides more dramatic. Far in the future, it will be farther, smaller, quieter in its influence. To think of this is to think of balance. Earth and moon are not enemies, not competitors. They are dance partners, adjusting to each other's steps. Earth, spinning too fast, lends some of its rhythm to the moon. The moon, slow and steady, accepts the energy, not greedily, but with grace, and transforms it into a wider orbit. Each keeps the other moving, bound together by gravity, yet always shifting. There is a tenderness in this exchange. Earth is older, heavier, more restless in its spin. The moon is smaller, patient, content to orbit and glow. And so Earth offers a piece of itself, time after time, slowing its own pace so the moon may rise. It is a gift of endurance, of companionship, and of inevitability. Even now, as you listen, the trade continues. While you breathe, while you rest, tiny fractions of energy slip through the oceans, carried outward toward the moon. You will not hear it. You will not feel it, but the cosmos keeps its ledger, and nothing is forgotten. If you listen to the story as poetry, the lesson is clear. Nothing in the universe moves without cost. Motion is shared, energy is borrowed, momentum is passed along like a baton in an endless relay. Earth's days lengthen because the moon climbs higher. The moon climbs higher because the oceans lean just slightly forward, and the oceans lean forward because Earth spins, refusing to stop. Scientists have measured this exchange with exquisite care. By bouncing laser beams off mirrors left on the moon during the Apollo missions, they track its drift. Each reflected signal tells the same tale. The moon is receding, slowly, steadily, carried away by the quiet gift of tides. The numbers match the theory, and the story is confirmed. What once seemed myth, the moon's control of the seas, has become physics, written in equations and confirmed by light. And yet, the myth lingers, because the truth itself is myth-like. Imagine Earth as a weary monarch, giving up seconds from its reign so its companion may wander farther into the heavens. Imagine the moon, carrying those seconds like treasure, building distance from them, each orbit a little freer. It is a tale both scientific and poetic, factual and dreamlike, perfect for a night when sleep drifts close. The trade of energy is not destruction, it is not loss, it is simply balance. Earth slows, yes, but only slightly, and in return, its companion remains. The moon will not flee entirely. It will never vanish from our sky. It will simply shift its seat, as if moving a little farther down the bench, still present, still glowing, still ours. And so, as you drift now, think of this exchange not as an ending, but as a rhythm. The tides are your lullaby, the slowing spin of Earth your rocking chair, the drifting moon your lantern moving just a touch farther away. All of it in harmony, all of it in patience, all of it reminding us that the universe unfolds not in leaps, but in whispers. Tomorrow, the tides will come again, the moon will rise again, the trade will continue, invisible yet eternal. And we, small observers with short lives, are lucky enough to notice, lucky enough to wonder, lucky enough to fall asleep under this endless, patient dance. The idea that the moon is drifting away sounds like a secret whispered by the night sky. You cannot see it happen. The moon still looks the same to your eyes, rising, glowing, sinking, returning again the next evening. It does not seem smaller, does not appear farther. And yet, science tells us that each year it quietly steps back, just a few centimeters farther from Earth. But how do we know this? How do we measure something so impossibly small across such impossible distances? The story begins with light. Light, after all, is the most faithful traveler in the universe. It leaves no footprints, asks for no fuel, and yet moves faster than anything we can imagine. When humans wondered about the moon's slow departure, they turned to light as their messenger. In 1969, when astronauts first walked on the moon, they left behind more than footprints and flags. They placed small square panels, retroreflectors, on the surface. Each one looks simple, a grid of tiny glass prisms designed to bounce light straight back to its source. They were gifts for science, mirrors planted in the dust. From Earth, scientists point powerful lasers at these reflectors. The beam travels across the vacuum, strikes the mirror, and returns to us. The journey is astonishing, over 380,000 kilometers each way, and yet, in a fraction of a second, the light comes back, like a runner completing an impossible race. By measuring the time it takes for that light to return, scientists know the distance to the moon, not roughly, not approximately, but with millimeter precision. It is from this patient, repeated experiment that the truth emerged. Year after year, the numbers crept upward. The distance was not fixed. The moon was receding, about 3.8 centimeters every year. The measurement was steady, undeniable, written in the language of photons and seconds. To put that distance in perspective, think of your fingernails. In a single month, your nails grow more than the moon retreats in a year. Or think of the width of a coin. The moon's yearly departure is smaller still. It is so slow, so quiet, that you could live your whole life under the moon's glow and never notice. But across millions of years, these whispers add up. Long ago, when life was still finding its first fragile forms in Earth's oceans, the moon was much closer. The tides were immense, towering waves that may have shaped the beginnings of life itself. The nights were different then, the moon looming larger, its pull undeniable. We know this not because anyone was there to see it, but because the evidence is written in stone. Ancient layers of rock preserve the rhythm of tides, like grooves in an old record. By counting them, scientists discovered that days were shorter, years were longer, and the moon was nearer. It is almost like reading a diary kept by the Earth. Each ripple in stone, each fossilized tidal pattern, is an entry written in silence telling us the moon was closer once. And then there are the coral reefs, living archives of time. Some corals lay down daily growth rings, as trees do with annual rings. By studying fossil corals hundreds of millions of years old, scientists can see how many days once filled a year. The answer reveals Earth's rotation. In the Devonian period, about 400 million years ago, a year contained about 400 days. Not because the year was longer, but because days were shorter. The Earth spun faster, and the moon, still close, pulled hard on the oceans. Together, these records, lasers bouncing from mirrors, fossils etched in stone, corals frozen in time, tell one consistent story. The moon is leaving us, not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, in patience measured by centuries. And yet, there is something comforting about this knowledge, because while the numbers change, the moon remains our companion. You may never notice its retreat, just as you never notice the subtle shifting of continents, or the creeping growth of mountains, or the slow bending of rivers. The Earth and moon are changing, yes, but they are doing so in a way that respects the rhythm of human life. It is humbling to think that with nothing more than beams of light and careful patience, humanity has learned this truth. We cannot reach out and hold the moon steady. We cannot stop its drift. But we can measure it, understand it, and cherish the wonder of knowing. Perhaps, as you rest tonight, you can imagine those beams of light streaking across the void, touching a mirror in the lunar dust, and returning home. Imagine the scientists, late at night, watching their instruments tick and record. Imagine the patience of repeating this, year after year, decade after decade, until the story becomes clear. It is not so different from the patience of the moon itself. circling, drifting, stepping back slowly through the ages. The act of measurement itself feels poetic. A planet and its satellite, locked in eternal dance, their steps recorded not by myth or story this time, but by pulses of light sent from one to the other. Earth whispers a question. The moon answers, and in the timing of that reply, we hear the truth of the distance between them. This, then, is how we know, not by guesswork, not by dream, but by patient observation, by lasers bouncing off prisms, by rocks etched with tides, by corals that grew in ancient seas. All voices joining in chorus, telling us of a farewell so gentle that it takes billions of years to unfold. So, the next time you see the moon, hanging low and luminous above the horizon, remember, it is not as near as it once was, but it is still there, faithful, bright, and constant enough to guide sailors, poets, lovers, and dreamers. It will always be there for you, even as it drifts. Its leaving is so slow, so patient, that to human eyes it is indistinguishable from staying. And perhaps that is the comfort of it, a goodbye so soft it feels like an embrace. Close your eyes and imagine a night millions, even billions of years ago. The Earth was young then, still finding its rhythm. The continents were not where they are now. The seas were different, the air heavier, the sky unfamiliar, and above it all, the moon, our quiet companion, was not the size, you know. It was closer, much closer. In those ancient nights, the moon would have loomed enormous in the sky, perhaps 2 or even 3 times larger than it appears today. Imagine standing on some rocky shore, with no cities, no lamps, no noise, only the endless stretch of ocean and the glow of the moon so near that it seemed to spill light like liquid across the water. It would not just have been a lantern in the dark, it would have been a presence, a giant eye watching the newborn Earth. And with that closeness came power. The tides of those ancient oceans rose and fell with a force far greater than what we know now. Imagine waves not just gently lapping against the sand, but sweeping across vast stretches of coastline, pulled and released by the nearness of the moon. Twice each day, the seas would surge, reshaping the land, cutting channels, and leaving behind tidal pools. The young Earth was restless, and the moon made it more so. Scientists believe these strong tides played a role in the story of life. In those shallow pools, where water washed in and out, complex molecules may have found the perfect place to meet and bind. The rhythm of the tides, the flooding and draining, the constant mixing, could have been a kind of cradle. Life may have risen from the very tug of the moon. The days themselves were shorter then. When the moon was closer, Earth spun faster, its rotation brisk and urgent. A day lasted perhaps only 18 or 20 hours. Nights were shorter too, but brighter, for the moon's glow was stronger. To the creatures of those times, if there were any to see it, the night sky must have felt alive. The moon, an immense neighbour, always present, always powerful. Rocks and fossils carry whispers of this past. Ancient corals, frozen in time, record how many days once filled a year. Their patterns reveal that the Earth turned more quickly, completing more rotations as the moon pulled at it. Layers of sediment laid down in shallow seas preserve tidal rhythms, like a clock etched in stone. And all of them tell the same tale. The moon was closer, and the Earth spun faster. It is strange to think of the moon not as a constant, but as a traveller. We imagine it eternal, always the same size in the sky, always glowing as it does now. But the truth is, more dynamic. The moon has been walking backward, slowly, for billions of years. What you see tonight is not what ancient eyes would have seen. Picture those nights again. The moon hanging enormous, the tides roaring, the air thick with volcanic breath, lightning flashing in young storms, oceans steaming, continents still drifting. The Earth was raw, unfinished, and the moon was a great weight above it, steadying it, pulling it, shaping it. The two were bound in a relationship more intense than today's, Earth spinning like a dancer in a fever, the moon pulling close, like a partner who would not let go. And yet, even then, the slow process had already begun. The tides leaned forward, giving the moon a push. The Earth gave up tiny fragments of its spin, and the moon, patient as ever, drifted away by centimeters each year. From enormous to smaller, from overwhelming to familiar, the moon retreated, step by step. There is a kind of nostalgia in this thought, as if we are remembering a time we never lived. The ancient nights were not for us. They belonged to the young earth, to seas that boiled with potential, to skies lit by fire and storm. And yet, the story is still ours, because it shaped the world we live in. Without those stronger tides, without that closer moon, life might have taken another path, or perhaps never begun at all. The moon, then, is not just a companion, but a midwife of life, holding Earth close when it was fragile, pulling at its seas until the right conditions were born, and only then, with patience, stepping back to give Earth space to grow. Imagine, too, how the sky must have felt to early creatures, those first beings who lifted their eyes above the waves. They would have seen a moon so large it dominated the horizon. No myth, no story, only instinct, but still a sense of awe. The moon was not decoration, it was power itself. Over time, the earth calmed, the days lengthened, the moon receded, the tides softened into the rhythm we know now. But those ancient nights remain a part of our story, written into the length of our days, the rhythm of our oceans, the fossils in stone. So, as you lie here tonight, think of that other world that once was. A world where the moon was near enough to feel enormous, where nights were short and bright, where the seas obeyed a stronger call. Think of the closeness that once was, and how slowly it has changed. Until now, all that remains is the quiet drifting. The moon will never return to that place. It will never loom so large again. Its path is outward, not inward. But in its distance, it leaves behind a gift. The world we know, the life we live, the calm tides that lap our shores. And perhaps, in the silence of your own thoughts, you can feel a connection to those ancient nights, not through memory, but through the rhythm that continues even now. The tides rise and fall, the days lengthen, the moon drifts. You are part of that same story, part of the same long farewell. So rest now, under a moon that is smaller than it once was, but still bright, still faithful. Know that above you shines a traveller who has been closer, who has seen the earth's youth, and who will, in patience, continue its slow retreat. The ancient nights are gone, but their echo remains, in the water, in the stones, and in the quiet light of the moon itself. When you step outside on a quiet night and look up, the moon feels eternal. It hangs there with such constancy that it seems immune to change. Generations before you have seen the same moon, poets, wanderers, sailors, and children. Its glow feels permanent, its presence unshakable. But the truth, whispered in centuries rather than seconds, is that the moon is changing. Slowly, gently, it is moving away, and in the future, it will not look quite the same. Imagine the sky thousands, millions, even billions of years from now. The moon will still rise, still drift among the stars, still paint silver across the oceans, but it will be smaller, a little dimmer, a little more distant. Not gone, not lost, just farther from us. A lantern carried a few steps down the cosmic road. This change will be subtle, too slow for human eyes. You will never notice it in your lifetime. Your children will not, nor their children. But if we could speed up time, condense millions of years into a single night, you would see the moon shrinking as it climbs away. The tides would soften, the days would stretch, and the Earth's rotation would slow. It would be like watching an old dancer, still graceful, but moving more gently with each turn. The tides are the first to feel the change. Even now, as the moon drifts outward, its pull weakens ever so slightly. The oceans still obey, but the difference accumulates. In a future where the moon is farther away, the tides will not rise as high, nor fall as low. The rhythm of Earth's coasts will quiet. Estuaries, marshes, tidal pools, those fragile ecosystems shaped by the breath of the moon, will find a gentler cadence. Life will adapt, as it always has, but the world will feel different. The length of the day will change too. As Earth passes its spin energy to the moon, the planet's rotation slows. Days grow longer, by mere fractions of a second each century, but in deep time, it matters. Imagine a future where a single day lasts not 24 hours but 30. The rising and setting of the sun stretched beyond our current rhythm, a slower heartbeat for the earth. And still the moon will be there, watching, faithful, drifting outward but not vanishing. In billions of years, it might be tens of thousands of kilometers farther away, appearing smaller in the sky. Today, it is just large enough to cover the sun perfectly during a total eclipse, creating that brief, breathtaking moment when the world goes dark in midday. But in the far future, eclipses will change. The moon will be too small to hide the sun completely. Instead, it will create only annular eclipses, a bright ring of fire surrounding a shrunken silhouette. The magic of totality will be gone, replaced by a different kind of wonder. The future sky, then, is one of quiet shifts. The moon will glow but smaller. The tides will move but softer. The days will lengthen, the eclipses will change, and the bond between Earth and Moon will loosen, though never break. It is tempting to see this as a loss, but perhaps it is simply the natural aging of a relationship. The Earth and Moon have been bound for more than 4 billion years. In their youth, they were close, intense, pulling and shaping each other with ferocity. Now, in middle age, they are gentler, the Moon drifting outward as Earth slows. And in old age, they will remain companions, farther apart, quieter, but still bound, still orbiting together through the dark. If you think of the moon as a friend, then the future sky is like watching that friend grow older. The laughter is softer, the steps slower, the distance greater, but the bond remains. The friendship does not end. It simply changes with time. Scientists can project these futures with equations, mapping the moon's drift, the Earth's rotation, the tide's decline. The numbers tell a story measured in millions and billions of years. But beyond the numbers lies something more human, the sense that we are part of a long, slow unfolding, a cosmic patience that stretches far beyond our brief lives. To stand beneath the moon tonight is to touch both past and future. You see it as it is now, but you also see the echo of when it was closer and the promise of when it will be farther. You are in the middle of the journey, in the quiet between the closeness of ancient nights and the distance of future skies. And perhaps that is the most comforting thought of all. The moon will always be there. Smaller, yes. More distant, yes. But it will never abandon us. It will continue to rise and fall, to pull at the oceans, to guide the rhythms of life. Even in the farthest futures, long after we are gone, the moon will still shine on whatever comes next. So imagine those future horizons. Picture a night sky where the moon looks just a little smaller, where eclipses reveal a golden ring of sunlight, where days stretch longer than we know. Picture the oceans breathing more softly, their tides less pronounced. Picture a world that has aged gracefully, with the moon still at its side, not as close as before, but still faithful. And as you drift towards sleep, let that vision settle over you. The future need not frighten. It is not a story of endings, but of gentle changes. The moon will remain, a lantern in the sky, carrying the memory of ancient closeness and the promise of distant companionship. The bond between Earth and Moon is not broken, it is simply evolving, as all bonds do across the great expanse of time. Rest then, knowing that above you shines a friend who has been closer, who will one day be farther, but who will always, always be there. If you have followed the story so far, you may feel a quiet ache. The moon, faithful companion of our nights, drifting away with every tide, every whisper of ocean on shore. It sounds like the beginning of a farewell, a slow unraveling of a bond we thought eternal. But the truth is gentler than that. For while the moon drifts, while it steps back across the cosmic stage, it will never truly leave. There is a balance here, hidden but enduring, a balance written not in the language of loss, but in the quiet geometry of gravity and motion. To understand it, picture once again the dance of Earth and Moon. Earth spins, pulling the oceans slightly forward. The tides lean, tugging at the moon, giving it just enough energy to climb outward. And the moon obeys, orbit widening a little with each passing century. Yet even as it climbs, it is still caught in Earth's gravity. The tether stretches, yes, but it does not snap. Gravity is stubborn that way. It is not a rope that can fray, not a knot that can be untied. It is more like a well dug deep into the fabric of space. The moon, no matter how far it drifts, is still in that well. It cannot climb out, not without an impossible surge of energy that no tide, no transfer of spin could ever provide. Earth's gravity holds too firmly. So while the moon recedes, it does not escape. It cannot simply drift into the void, abandoning us. The dance continues, slower perhaps, wider in its steps, but unbroken. This is the cosmic balance. The trade of energy that sends the moon outward is also the force that ensures it stays bound. The more the moon climbs, the weaker Earth's pull becomes, but the energy it receives from tides grows smaller too. Eventually, a point will come when the trade balances out, when the Earth's rotation slows enough, when the moon's orbit widens enough, that the giving and the taking settle into peace. At that time, Earth and moon will be locked in a deeper harmony. Earth's day will match the moon's orbit, each rotation synchronized with each revolution. The moon will always hang above the same hemisphere, never rising, never setting for those who live beneath its gaze. On the far side of Earth, unseen by human eyes, the night will never know the moon at all. It sounds strange, almost unearthly, but it is the inevitable result of patience. Billions of years from now, Earth and moon will settle into this quiet partnership, no longer exchanging energy, no longer drifting apart, a balance of stillness, a cosmic truce. The sun and the slow passage of time may alter that balance eventually, but long before then, our planet will have changed beyond recognition. The oceans may shrink, the continents may shift, the sun itself may swell. The Earth-Moon dance will continue until larger forces intervene. But for as long as Earth remains as we know it, the moon will remain too, bound by the invisible hand of gravity. Perhaps you can think of it like a kite. The moon is the kite, drifting on a long string, tugged by the winds of tides, carried upward, outward. But no matter how high it rises, it remains tied to the Earth. The string is gravity, unbreakable, except by cosmic catastrophe. And so the kite drifts, but it never escapes the hand that holds it. This balance is comforting. It means that the moon will never truly leave us. It may change its seat in the sky, may appear smaller, may alter the rhythm of tides and eclipses, but it will always belong to Earth, always circle, always glow, always light our nights. In the stillness of reflection, you might see this as a lesson. Relationships change with time, distances grow, rhythms slow, closeness softens, but not all change is loss. Some change is balance, a new kind of harmony found in the long unfolding of time. Earth and moon remind us of this, showing that even drifting apart can be a form of staying together. The beauty of the moon's loyalty lies not in stillness, but in this patient balance. Even as it steps back, it is bound. Even as it drifts, it is constant. The slow farewell is not an ending, but a transformation. So when you look at the moon tonight, know that it is not going anywhere. It is not abandoning us, not fleeing into the cold emptiness of space. It is simply adjusting its distance, finding the balance that gravity requires. Its light will continue to fall across oceans and deserts, forests and cities for as long as Earth turns. And as you rest beneath that light, you can take comfort in the thought. Some bonds are unbreakable. Some companions remain, not in one place, not unchanged, but present nonetheless, steady as the tides, patient as time itself. The moon is one of those companions. Drifting, yes. Changing, yes. But leaving? Never. So, close your eyes, let the thoughts settle like quiet tide water on the shore. The moon is above you, has always been above you, will always be above you. Smaller perhaps, farther perhaps, but never gone. That is the promise of cosmic balance, a dance that endures, a tether that never snaps, a companionship that even time itself cannot end. There is a kind of silence in the night sky that feels older than memory. You can sense it when you look at the moon, pale and glowing, steady above the horizon. It does not rush, it does not change quickly. Night after night it follows its phases, crescent, half, full and back again, so calm, so measured, that it seems to embody patience itself. And yet, beneath that stillness lies a story of change. The moon drifts away from Earth, not in leaps, not in bounds, but in the tiniest of steps, centimeters each year. So small, so subtle, that it would take millions of years before the human eye could ever notice. It is the ultimate lesson in patience, the understanding that great change can come not through sudden acts, but through persistence, so slow it feels like stillness. Think of it as an echo of time itself. The moon is both a clock and a teacher. With every tide it raises, with every fraction of a second it steals from Earth's day, it reminds us that time is not measured only in hours or minutes, but in cycles, in whispers, in the almost invisible. Imagine the patience of the moon. For 4.5 billion years it has circled Earth. It has seen continents drift, mountains rise and crumble, oceans appear and vanish. It has watched as life sparked in shallow seas, crawled onto land, grew into forests, dinosaurs, and finally into us. And through all of it, it has drifted, step by step, farther away, never hurrying, never halting, simply moving at the pace that gravity demands. There is a quiet wisdom in this. We, as humans, live by clocks and deadlines. We rush, we measure, we hurry through days that feel too short. But the moon shows us another way of keeping time. Its journey is not rushed, because it does not need to be. It will take billions of years to reach the balance point where it can drift no more. Until then, it simply continues, patient, constant, faithful. Perhaps that is why so many cultures across history have looked to the moon for meaning. It has always been more than a light in the dark. It has been a symbol of rhythm, of continuity, of calm, persistence. Ancient farmers planted crops by its phases. Poets wrote verses to its glow. Lovers timed their promises by its cycles. Sailors trusted it to guide the seas. The moon has always been a mirror for patience, showing us that some things are worth waiting for, that some journeys unfold only in the quietest increments. The patience of the moon is also the patience of Earth. Our planet, too, accepts the slow lengthening of days, giving up seconds with each century, allowing time to stretch wider and wider. We do not feel it, but it is happening nonetheless. The echo of the moon's lesson is written into the rhythm of every sunrise and sunset. If you imagine holding a stone in your hand, heavy and solid, it feels permanent. But leave that stone in a river for long enough, and the water will carve it smooth. Not in one day, not in one year, but in countless centuries. The moon's drift is like that, change carved in the silence of ages, patient and unstoppable. Perhaps that is the deepest gift of the moon, perspective, to remind us that our lives, brief as they are, exist inside a much larger rhythm, to remind us that not all change must be visible in a moment. Some changes take generations, some take eons, and yet they happen all the same, as sure as the tides, as steady as the glow of the moon. If you listen closely, you can almost feel it, a great clock ticking not in seconds, but in ages. Each wave that touches the shore carries away a fraction of Earth's spin, each tide a quiet act in the story of patience. The moon receives those offerings and transforms them into distance. It is an exchange so small that no one moment matters, but all moments together create transformation. This too can be a lesson for us. So often we yearn for quick change, for immediate results. We want the moon to leap, the tides to roar, time itself to bend to our will. But the universe teaches us otherwise. Great transformations are not born in haste. They are written in whispers, in the small acts repeated endlessly, in the patience to wait. The moon is not in a hurry. The earth is not in a hurry. The tides are not in a hurry. Why, then, should we be? When you think of your own life, consider the moon's patience. Each day may feel small, each effort may seem insignificant, but together they build something vast. Just as the moon's tiny drift creates a different sky across eons, your smallest acts create the story of your life. Patience is not emptiness. It is accumulation, the art of trusting that time will carry the weight of change. And so the echo of time, taught by the moon, is not only about the cosmos. It is about us. About learning to wait, to trust, to rest in the knowledge that progress is not always visible, but is always happening. As you lie here now, listening, breathing slowly, you are part of that same rhythm. The moon is above you, still drifting, still patient, still teaching. Its glow has fallen on every generation before you and will fall on generations after. You are but one heartbeat in its long story, but your heartbeat matters because it joins the chorus of all who have ever looked up and learned from its calm. Let this thought cradle you as you drift into sleep. Patience is not passive. It is powerful. It is the strength to endure, the faith to continue, the wisdom to wait. The moon shows us this with every centimeter it drifts, with every tide it shapes, with every shadow it casts on earth. Tomorrow the moon will still be there. A little farther, yes, but still faithful. And tomorrow you will wake, carrying its lesson, that time is not something to be conquered, but something to be lived with, gently, patiently, quietly, like the echo of the moon itself. If you have ever stood beneath the shadow of a total eclipse, you will know the feeling. The sky, so familiar, suddenly turns strange. Daylight fades, animals fall silent, and for a few precious minutes the sun disappears, replaced by a dark disk ringed with fire. It is as if the universe itself is holding its breath. This miracle of alignment, the moon covering the sun perfectly, is one of Earth's greatest spectacles. And yet, it is also temporary, for the moon is drifting away. Slowly, gently, but persistently, and as it does, eclipses are changing too. Right now, we live in a golden age of eclipses. The moon, from our vantage point, is almost the exact same size in the sky as the Sunday. Not in truth, the sun is unimaginably larger, but also unimaginably farther. By coincidence, distance and size balance, and the two appear equal. This is why the moon can cover the sun so perfectly, turning noon into twilight. It is a rare and delicate symmetry, a cosmic accident of proportion. But this balance is not eternal. Each year, as the moon drifts a few centimeters farther from Earth, its apparent size shrinks. Slowly, invisibly, it becomes less able to hide the sun completely. One day, long in the future, total eclipses will vanish. The moon will still cross the sun's face, but it will be too small to cover it. Instead, a bright ring of sunlight will surround the moon's dark disk, a phenomenon we call an annular eclipse. Beautiful, yes, but not the same. The magic of sudden darkness, of the stars revealed in midday, will be gone. Imagine, then, the skies of the far future. No humans may be there to see it, but if they were, they would live under a different sky. They would never know the awe of a perfect total eclipse. For them, the moon would always leave a halo, a reminder that it once fit more snugly against the Sunday. Our age of eclipses is temporary, a fleeting gift in the long span of time. To realize this is to feel both small and lucky. Small, because it reminds us how brief our window of experience truly is. Lucky, because we live in the middle of this window. We are the witnesses of eclipses that past creatures could not have seen, and that future creatures never will. When you stand under a total eclipse, you are seeing not only an alignment of sun and moon, but an alignment of time, a coincidence of distance and size that exists only now. Scientists, too, see eclipses as more than spectacle. They are opportunities for discovery. It was during an eclipse in 1919 that Einstein's theory of general relativity was confirmed. The sun's light bent around it, visible only because the moon had covered the glare. That moment, when science looked up and proved the curvature of space itself, happened only because the moon was the right size to block the Sunday. The cosmos offers its lessons in moments like these, moments we should not take for granted. There is poetry in the thought that every total eclipse is a countdown. With each one, we are closer to the time when they will no longer happen. Centuries, millennia from now, humanity, if it is still here, may look back at our time and marvel that we saw such perfect alignments. They may read our records, see our photographs, and wonder what it was like to stand in that shadow. Eclipses remind us of impermanence. They show us that beauty is not always forever, that some wonders are gifts of timing, not guarantees of eternity. The drifting moon is not cruel, it is simply moving at its own pace, and in its slow departure, it is also teaching us. Cherish the moments that exist only now, because they too will pass. If you think about it, The moon's role in eclipses is much like its role in tides. Both are expressions of connection, Earth and moon in a delicate balance, shaping what we see and feel. The tides remind us of rhythm, the eclipses of impermanence. Together, they tell us that the universe is not fixed, but alive with change. Picture a far horizon, millions of years away. The sun rises, the moon crosses it, but instead of darkness falling, a ring of fire burns around the edges. The sky never dims fully, the stars never emerge. It is a different beauty, but also a reminder. The skies we know are only one version of the story. The universe will write others. So tonight, as you rest, think of the moon not only as a drifting lantern, but also as an artist, shaping the canvas of the sky. For now, it paints eclipses that are perfect circles of shadow. In the future, it will paint halos and rings. Both are beautiful, both are true, but only now do we stand beneath the rarest of them all, the perfect balance of sun and moon, shadow and light. Let that thought settle over you like the hush of an eclipse. The world is changing, always. The moon is drifting, always. And yet, in this moment, you are here, alive in the brief era when eclipses still carry their full, breathtaking magic. That is a gift, as fragile as it is magnificent. Rest in that gift. Rest in the thought that you live in an age of wonders, in the exact moment when the cosmos aligns for you. The moon's drift will continue, yes, but for now, it still offers you its shadow, still lets you stand in the dark at noon, still shows you the stars by day. Cherish it. Sleep with that wonder in your heart. When we think of the moon, we often imagine it as a quiet observer, shining gently, watching silently from above. But in truth, it has never been only a witness. The moon is also a participant, an architect of Earth's story. Its pull on the oceans has shaped not only the land, but also the lives that grew upon it. Without the moon's steady tug, life as we know it might never have found its rhythm. Close your eyes and picture the early Earth, its oceans vast and untamed, its shores raw and unfinished. There were no trees yet, no animals, no footsteps upon the sand. But twice each day, the moon pulled the seas upward, then let them fall again. Tides rose and retreated, surging into shallow pools, leaving behind pockets of water as they withdrew. These tidal pools were more than puddles. They were laboratories, tiny bowls of possibility where chemistry could experiment. Within these shifting pools, molecules met and mingled. Organic compounds, bathed in sunlight by day and stirred by tides at night, found chances to link together, to form chains, to become something more than they were. Some scientists believe this rhythm, the filling and emptying of tidal basins, was essential for the birth of life. The moon, in pulling at the seas, may have been a quiet midwife to our very beginnings. And once life began, it never forgot the rhythm. The tides became part of its pulse. Tiny creatures learned to rise with the waves and settle with the retreat. Plants and animals came to depend on the regular washing of the shoreline, the delivery of nutrients, or the cleansing of waters. Even now, countless species are tied to the moon's schedule. Crabs scuttle with the tides. Sea turtles return to beaches under moonlight to lay their eggs. Fish migrate, spawn, and feed according to the lunar cycle. In a way, the moon is a conductor, guiding a vast orchestra of life. Its baton is invisible, its movements slow, but the entire oceanic world listens. The beat is steady, rise, fall, rise again. For billions of years, this music has never stopped. Humans too are caught in this song. We may not always notice it, but our ancestors did. Coastal peoples built their calendars around the moon. They knew that the pull of tides could not be ignored. Farmers planted by the moon's phases, believing its light and power influenced the growth of crops. Fishermen timed their ventures to the tides, trusting the moon's guidance for abundant catches. Even our myths of moon goddesses, of lunar cycles tied to fertility and rest, echo the ancient recognition that the moon was part of life's pattern. Even within our bodies, faint echoes remain. Some researchers suggest that human sleep and mood can be subtly influenced by the moon's phases. perhaps remnants of an older rhythm buried in us from when our ancestors lived more closely with the sea. The cycle of the moon and the cycle of life have always been intertwined, a soft thread binding us to the tides. But the influence of the moon is not just gentle, it is protective. Its steady pull stabilizes Earth's tilt, keeping our seasons regular. Without the moon, our planet might wobble more wildly, tilting and shifting in ways that could make climates unpredictable, harsher, less friendly to the slow growth of ecosystems. The moon's gravity holds Earth steady, giving life the stability it needed to flourish. In this sense, the moon is more than a companion, it is a guardian, a quiet force that has sheltered life from chaos. Imagine again the coastline, waves reaching, retreating, reaching again. Every shell you pick up on a beach, every grain of sand beneath your feet is a record of the moon's pull. The lives of seabirds, dolphins, corals, even the smallest plankton, are attuned to its rhythm. Without the moon, the ocean would still move, tugged by the sun, but its tides would be far weaker, smaller breaths, quieter songs. Entire ecosystems might never have come into being. And so the moon is not only a lantern above the night, it is a sculptor of worlds below. It shapes the edge of every continent. It draws lines on the shore. It sets clocks for creatures that do not wear watches, that know time only by the return of the tide. It whispers instructions to life itself. Rise now, feed now, rest now. For us, living in cities lit by artificial light, lulled by digital clocks, it can be easy to forget. But if you listen closely on a quiet beach, if you walk barefoot where the waves arrive and retreat, you can still hear the moon's song. It is steady, ancient, unchanged. And in its steadiness lies the lesson. Life does not exist apart from the universe. Life is written into it, guided by it, shaped by it. Consider also the symbolism. The moon waxes and wanes, grows full and thin again, always returning, always cycling. Life mirrors this in its rhythms: birth, growth, decline, renewal. We may not mark our days by the tides anymore, but the tides remain within us, reminders that we, too, belong to cycles far older than ourselves. As the moon drifts outward, those cycles will change. The tides will weaken, softer than they are now. Perhaps in the far future, different creatures will live by gentler rhythms, guided by subtler waves. But the connection will remain. The moon will always shape life, just as it always has, though in ways that evolve with time. So as you rest tonight, think of yourself as part of this long rhythm. Your heartbeat, steady in your chest, is not so different from the beat of tides against the shore. Both are songs written by gravity, by patience, by time. The moon has guided the oceans, and the oceans have guided life, and life has brought you here, listening, breathing, drifting towards sleep. The moon is not distant from you. It is in the tides, in the soil, in the stories passed down through generations. It is in the way the waves break, the way the seasons turn, the way we find comfort in repetition. It is in the pulse of life itself. Let that thought soothe you, that every breath you take, every tide that touches the shore, every creature that lives by the sea, is part of the same ancient music. The moon has been playing it for billions of years, and you are a note within it, brief but beautiful, carried by the song. The story of the moon leaving the earth is, on the surface, a tale of separation, a slow retreat, a companion stepping farther away, 1 centimeter at a time. But if you listen closely, beneath that story lies another, one not of endings, but of patience, of endurance, of bonds that change but never break. The moon has circled us for over 4 billion years. It has seen the earth young, wild and fiery. It has watched as continents drifted, as seas rose and fell, as life crawled from the water to the land. It has been witness to forests stretching skyward, to creatures great and small, to the rise of humanity. And through it all, it has remained, drifting slowly, yes, but always there. Always looking down, always reflecting the light of the sun into our night. In this way, the moon teaches us something about endings, that not all of them are abrupt, not all of them are loss. Some endings are simply transformations, gentle transitions into new forms, new distances, new balances. The moon will never abandon Earth. It will only change its place in the sky. And perhaps that is what most endings are. Not disappearances, but shifts. Not farewells, but quiet evolutions. Think of the tides, eternal as breath. They rise and fall because of the moon. Each wave that touches the shore is a reminder of this companionship. And even as the moon drifts away, the tides will continue, softer, gentler, but still there. Just as in our lives, relationships may change, distances may grow, but the echoes remain. The rhythm of what was continues to shape what is. There is comfort in this. We often fear endings, as if they are final, as if they erase what came before, but the moon shows us otherwise. Its slow retreat does not erase its history. It does not undo the nights it has lit, the tides it has shaped, the lives it has guided. It carries those memories with it, written into its orbit, into the rhythm of Earth's days. The past does not vanish. It becomes part of the present, part of the story that continues. Perhaps that is why the moon has always been a mirror for our own reflections. We look at it and see not only rock and dust, but memory and meaning. We see poems, songs, myths, and promises. We see time itself, patient and slow, teaching us that we need not rush to grasp everything at once. The moon shows us that life unfolds in cycles, in whispers, in small steps stretched across ages. And so, when you look at the moon, you are looking at patience incarnate, a patience that says, endings need not be feared. They can be gentle, they can be balanced, they can even be beautiful. Just as the moon does not vanish but drifts, so too do many endings in our lives simply shift us into new forms, new distances, new horizons. Let this thought soothe you as you prepare for rest. You are part of the same rhythm. Your life, too, is written in cycles of beginnings, of closings, of transitions that are not losses but continuations. Just as the moon does not leave, neither does memory, nor meaning, nor love. They transform, they change shape, they drift to new distances, but they remain, glowing softly, steady as the night sky. The moon, then, is a reminder that forever does not mean stillness. Forever means movement, continuity, connection that outlasts change. It is reflections of forever that we see in its light, a promise that patience and gentleness are not weakness, but strength, that the most enduring things are those that move quietly, steadily, without haste. And so, as this story comes to a close, imagine the moon above you now, patient, glowing, unchanged to your eyes, even as it drifts in truth. It watches over you tonight, just as it watched over your ancestors, and just as it will watch over those who come after you. It does not rush, it does not end, it continues. And in that continuation lies peace. Take that peace with you now, into your own rest. Let it soften your breath, slow your heartbeat, ease the weight of the day. The moon is drifting, yes, but it is still with us. Just as time moves, just as life changes, but never truly leaves. And so, we come to the end of tonight's journey. We've walked through tides and patience, through eclipses and ancient nights, through drifting distances and cosmic balance. And yet, even here at the end, the story is not finished, because the moon continues, always. Its light will be waiting for you tomorrow, and the next night, and the next. Thank you for joining me in this quiet exploration. I hope these words have carried you gently closer to rest. If you're still awake, I invite you to share from where you are listening and what time it is for you. It's always a joy to know how this story travels across the world, just as the moon's light does. Now, let the music carry you the rest of the way. Soft instrumental notes will follow like tides of sound, like moonlight set to melody. Let them cradle you into dreams, as the moon itself has cradled the earth for so long. Good night, dear listener. May you rest as patiently as the moon, and wake to a new day shaped by the quiet strength of the stars.